Welcome to Learning to Glow, a show about wellness, skin health, and self-development. I'm your host, Jess. I'm a mom, entrepreneur, and skincare expert. I'm so excited to share tips on how to achieve healthy skin and bring amazing guests in the field of health, fitness, aging gracefully, and personal growth. Let's explore all different ways we can take care of ourselves as women, both inside and out, to truly shine. So let's get glowing. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being with me today. We have such a great episode for you, and it is really a great one if you have ever felt frustrated with your skin or a loved one's skin. You're just like confused what's actually going to help create change for your skin. This is for you. I am joined by Dr. Trevor Cates, who is a naturopathic physician with over 25 years of experience, and we're talking about the deeper story your skin is telling you. So we talk about much more than just topical fixes, although we do talk about that. We're getting into more gut health, inflammation, nutrition, how our hormones affect our skin, and why our skin is a reflection of what is happening internally. And she had some amazing tips for us in this episode. We also touch on the internal and external fixes and specific ways that she's helped women see results in a natural way, which of course, if you listen to my show, I love. I'm all about minimizing the toxins as much as we can. You can learn more about Dr. Cates find her website in our show notes. And I hope that you do, because she's wonderful. I really enjoyed talking with her. And I also wanted to give you a heads up that our office will be closed throughout the holidays. So if you need to get any last minute gifts or skincare, make sure that you order before December 23rd. If you are listening to this when this podcast is coming out, don't forget to use code podcast for 20% off if you have not used that code yet. So far this month, I've been selling a ton of our glass skin kits, which are such a great gift. It comes in a cute little bag, and also our travel toners, because those were out of stock for a really long time, but I brought them back. And I think this is a really cute stocking stuffer idea. Or if you're creating like a basket or a gift bag, a little toner is such a great idea, and it's at such a great value. So definitely check out Simply Just Skincare, and you can see everything there. If you have any questions, we're always here for you. Send us a message, and thank you so much. Enjoy this episode. Hello, everyone, and welcome to our show today. We have Dr. Trevor Cates, and you are a naturopath, and we are going to talk about one of my favorite topics, the skin. So welcome to our show. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you. It's great to be here with you.
Yes. Okay. So I always like to start by, if you could just introduce yourself, tell the listeners what you do, and then we can go from there.
Yeah. So I am a naturopathic physician. I've been doing that for 25 years. It's for those that don't know what a naturopathic doctor is, we're trained as integrative doctors, and we have a very holistic approach, but we're also trained as primary care doctors. So it's truly integrative. And I've always focused on women's health. And for the last 15 years, I focusing a lot on skin. And that's because I started to realize there was this important need to talk about skin in a different way than a lot of people had heard about skin from a more conventional dermatology approach, because I believe that the skin is an outer reflection of our overall health. And I've written a couple of books, Clean Skin from Within, Natural Beauty Reset. I've hosted a few podcasts, done a documentary series, been on some TV shows. And so I just love talking about this. Women's health and skin, my big topics.
I love it. This is right up my alley, all of the things that you're sharing, because I think they're currently, with the mainstream way of doing things, if you have some type of an issue with your skin, it's not to look within. It's more like, what can we put on it? What Band-Aid approach can we have? And I've dealt with this in my own family, and I know a lot of friends who have had issues that weren't topically corrected at all. It was something that was going on in the inside. And so what were some of the things that you started to see in your practice that you felt like, okay, were a lot of your clients coming to you and saying, I have this issue, I've tried this way, and now I'm coming to you because I'm not getting results?
Yes, a little bit of that. And one of the things that was happening to me is I was seeing patients at the Waldorf Astoria Spa in Park City, and I was doing a weight loss program. And at the end of the 2 week program, they would say, "Oh, I've lost weight. I'm feeling great. What really surprises me is my skin. I didn't know my skin could look this good." And so there are skin issues like acne or eczema, rosacea, those sorts of things were improving. And also they just had this healthier radiance about their skin, which surprised them. And that's when I was like, well, of course, your skin is an outer reflection of your overall health. And they were like, what? What do you mean? I haven't really, like, I'm not, tell me more about this. And so I said, well, yeah, we're addressing the root causes because we're looking at, ways to help you lose weight, or oftentimes ways that get to root causes that happen to be root causes for skin issues. And so because that was so surprising to my patients, I realized, oh, I need to write a book about this, because I was repeating myself over and over again. And I mentor healthcare providers too. And I tell them, when you start repeating yourself over and over again, that you have a book. You have something you can hand people.
Yeah, it's like a question that needs to be answered for so many different people. So what
Yeah.
were some of the most common like skin issues that you saw that were being fixed when you were helping them with their health?
Yeah. And also, like you said, there were other people who would come in to me. And I think because I wasn't really known for skin issues, but over the years and since then, I've become known for skin issues. And so women in particular of all ages can have acne issues.
Yeah.
So, and usually it's more around puberty and perimenopause, but then there can be other things going on too. And they've tried all kinds of things, or maybe they were put on birth control pills, but they want to go off birth control pills because they don't want to be on them, or they're trying to get pregnant. And then all of a sudden they get rebound acne from all of that. Also, eczema is another big one where people have tried everything, and maybe they've had it since childhood, and they tried topical steroids and suppress it for a while, but then as soon as they stop, or the steroids just stop working, or they're having side effects from that, it's suppressing their immune system, or they're worried about their bone health or other things. And so because of the side effects of medications and things. So and then rosacea is another big one. A lot of times rosacea, though, is just something, a lot of times women just feel like they have to suffer through it. And but then when they mention that's one of the things that they have, maybe they come in for hormone stuff and then they mention, yeah, and I've got rosacea, or I notice that they have it. Then I'm like, oh, wait, let's talk about that, because we can address that too. Those would be the main ones. And then of course, premature aging, right? I mean, I think wrinkles are beautiful. I think they're signs we've been living and laughing, and we're gaining wisdom. I don't have a problem with wrinkles, but we don't want them before we should have them, right? If we have premature aging, it's actually a sign of an imbalance. Like we're losing collagen faster than we would normally at our age. And there are some things we can do to kind of slow down that process a little bit and ease the signs of aging. And then of course, if people want to do interventions, that's totally up to them. But my approach is completely natural. Yeah.
You're okay. Okay. I was going to ask you that. And your skin is beautiful, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. It looks so good. So I'd like to know, and I want to talk about like this time of year too, and how, especially where you're in Utah. So obviously your skin is going to change with the season. Even I'm in Southern California, and a lot of my listeners are. We still have climate change like during the season. So it's, even though it's not as drastic, I still complain like it is, but it's not as drastic. We still have changes, and that affects our skin. But I'd love to talk a little bit before we get into that, is when you start working with these clients who are having these issues and they're like, okay, I have rosacea or eczema, and I've tried topical things and it's just not cutting it. Where do you start with those people? If it is starting from the inside, like what are some of the issues that they're having that is causing this outward appearance of skin disorder?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, of course. And I do want to say that a lot of my approach is from the inside out, but I also care a lot about what we put on our skin, because then can impact our overall health because of all the toxins and skincare products like endocrine disrupting chemicals. So when we absorb those, that actually can impact us internally. So it's both inside and outside. So I do both, and that's why I created the Spa Doctor skincare line too, is to help address the root causes on the outside also. So some of the root causes include nutritional deficiencies if we're looking from the inside out, inflammation, which can be both internally and externally. Oxidative damage, again, is both internal and external, and the effects of that. Blood sugar can be a big part of it, or that can create the glycation issues, which can cause more premature aging, oxidative damage. We also can have problems with our gut health, with our microbiome. So we have a gut microbiome. We also have a skin microbiome, and they're interconnected. And so that also is a big part of it too.
Okay. Yeah. So when we talk about, I want to talk about the skin barrier too, because I think that's a really important thing. And you hear people talking about it more and more now. Tell us about the skin barrier first. And then I want to talk about ways that we can help protect it, repair it, because of some of the things that we're doing or exposed to that can damage it.
Yeah. I mean, skin is our largest organ, and I think skin is such a beautiful part of the human body, and it is one of the biggest things that it's designed to do is to protect us from the outside world. So it is this organ that's on the surface of our skin, which makes it really beautiful because we don't need special imaging equipment to see it. We can just look at it, or look in the mirror, look down at our skin and know that this organ can be giving us feedback. And part of that is that barrier function, which helps protect our bodies from the outside world. So from temperature, from, sunlight, from, all the different weather changes, seasonal aspects like you were talking about, those sorts of things. And so we have this, this lipid function of the skin. So we want to protect that. That's why I think it's so important for us to not strip the skin with foamy cleansers and high pH products, that we need to be really careful of that because that breaks down that barrier function. And then I mentioned the skin microbiome. So those microorganisms that live on the skin and protect it are part of that barrier to the outside world. It's, there's a lot of talk about the gut microbiome, right? And people talk about leaky gut and they talk about gut dysbiosis, but the skin also is similar. So you can have leaky skin, which is that breaking down of that barrier function. You can have imbalances in the skin microbiome, which then cause us to have things like acne and eczema and rosacea. So, and part of that's from an inside out, but it's also what we're doing to our skin that causes those imbalances.
Yeah. Well, so tell me what you say to your clients who are like, I like the feeling of my skin squeaky clean, because otherwise, I've heard this so many times, when they're literally stripping the skin with these ingredients and these strong products, but they're like, this isn't working if I don't feel that.
I know it is one of the hardest things for people, but it's one of the biggest mistakes people make in their skincare routine is cleansers. And because we are so used to, we've grown up with bars of soap and that sudsy feeling and how our skin feels squeaky clean. But what we're doing is we're stripping away the oils on those natural oils on the skin that protect and give our skin the pH that provide the environment for the skin microbiome to flourish. So we're stripping away those oils. We're also raising the pH of the skin, and the skin is in a healthy state, has a mild acidity, and good products for the skin have mild acidity. And even water has a neutral pH of 7, which is too high for the skin. And so that is going to all disrupt the skin. And so that's why with the Spa Doctor, I created a cleanser that is an oil-based cleanser it doesn't, have a high pH, it has a lower pH, so that as soon as you start your routine, you're removing your makeup or, you're getting ready for you're doing your bedtime routine, that you're not stripping the skin, but you're removing makeup and you're removing debris from the day, but you're also helping restore and maintain that barrier function of the skin.
Yeah, it's so important. And I remember before I got into skin, I used to use an astringent on my skin, and I'm dry. I've always been dry, even as a teenager. And I mean, we're talking the highest level, like the next level up is alcohol, rubbing alcohol, And I just remember feeling like, this is great. And then I got my first facial, and my esthetician was like, you are the driest. Your skin is crazy dry. And here I am using products that are marketed for oily skin, but even oily skin shouldn't be doing that to their skin. And talk to us, if you have an oily skin and they're like, I just need to get rid of that oil, like what can happen if you do that?
Yeah, I mean, still, I know it's hard. Like, I think of it like when back in the 80s, when we used to think like to lose fat, you need to eat less fat, right?
Yeah,
Like low fat diets. And now we know, no, 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 we don't want to eat low fat diets. We need fat. It's sort of
right.
like that with oils. Like, just because you have oily skin doesn't mean you need to avoid oils. You need to use the right oils and you need to use them in the right way. And sure, I think one of the things that's important is to use warm water, because if you're using cold water to wash your face, oil dissolves more in warm water, whereas cool water, it'll just stick to your skin more. So, and then also using, like, I love our Conjac facial sponge, which is really soft and it's biodegradable and it's a really nice feel to the skin. It exfoliates a little bit. So it helps remove any of that excess oil, or a soft washcloth. Just don't use anything abrasive, because we also don't want to over exfoliate. So that's another big mistake people make. Yeah.
All the time. Yeah. I love that the comparison. I make it all the time between skin and our health and our weight. And like that is it, there's so many similarities where it's like, no, this is so backwards. It's not what's going to help you. It's what we've been told starting from the 80s, but it is so wrong. I think we've come a long way with the skin. People are more educated now, but still there's a lot of education that needs to be done. When you talk about, as a naturopathic doctor, I'm sure that nutrition is just a fundamental thing that you talk to your clients about. And do you see, and I know you do because you're working with people on their nutrition. And of course, that's going to have an impact on the skin. But can you give us some examples of how that works? And what are some ways that what we're eating in our diet can affect our skin, good or bad?
Yeah, yeah. And I talk a lot about this in both my books, Clean Skin from Within and Natural Beauty Reset. And I have recipes in there, all sections on. In Clean Skin from Within, I talk about it as clean plate. So what are the foods that nourish skin, and which can be kind of more more foods that trigger the root causes, like more we want to avoid, more pro-inflammatory foods as much as possible, like sugar. Also, sugar can create glycation issues, so that can speed up the aging process. It can trigger acne breakouts. So we want to be careful with things like sugar. Also, dairy can be a trigger for a lot of people, especially with acne. Sometimes gluten can be an issue for people, especially with eczema, can be a big trigger. There are 10 different foods that I talk about in Clean Skin from Within. And I want to be really clear that there's no bad food. It's not like, food shaming or anything like that. It's just that there are certain foods that help address the root causes, and then there are certain foods that worsen the root causes. And not everybody has all of the root causes that I've mentioned. But that's why I talk about, in Clean Skin from Within, I talk about different skin types. So Sage, Emmett, Olivia, Heath, Amber. So if people know what skin type they are, skin personality type, then they'll understand which root causes. And then that can help them figure out which foods might be bigger trigger foods for them. And then also focusing on foods that help support the body, like anti-inflammatory foods. For example, wild Alaskan salmon is a great example of a food that is, the omega-3s in there are anti-inflammatory. And I call it skin inflammation, where internal inflammation then triggers inflammatory skin issues like eczema and acne. And then also getting collagen-rich foods. So like bone broth is an example of that, or a collagen supplement can be really great at helping support our collagen. Antioxidants are great because they protect against free radical damage. And even wild salmon, one of the reasons why I love that is it's got astaxanthin in it, which is a potent antioxidant that is protective for the skin. It's almost like an inside out sun protection kind of antioxidant. So I like that one. But any kind of colorful fruits, veggies, legumes, those are also going to be good. And then of course we want to, eat balanced foods, not carb heavy, but also I think it's important to get plenty of fiber, to get into antioxidants, and to get these healthy fats.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so true. I've talked about this on my podcast before, but my son, when he was a baby, had the worst eczema. I mean, like he had big cheeks because he was a big baby, and he just all like the whole cheek was so inflamed, couldn't figure it out. And turns out he was allergic to gluten, and that's how it presented. And that was one of the ways. Other things too. And it was so interesting to take the gluten away and just watch his skin clear up so quickly. And that's when I made the big aha moment, because I don't think people were talking about that. That was like 15 years ago. And it was really not common knowledge. No pediatrician that we took him to had any idea that no one suggested that until thankfully I had a personal doctor that was like, oh, he's got a gluten allergy. He just by the things that I told him. If it wasn't for him, I don't know how long we would have been down that road. So this is such good information for people who could be struggling. I'd love to talk about back to we're here approaching winter and the dryness. And I'd love to ask you, what are ways that we can support our skin during this time, especially in a lot of places in the world? It is drastic, the weather change, and you're going to feel it in your skin.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say one other thing about eczema is the importance of looking at gut health, because a lot of times with food sensitivities, there's also some gut permeability issues or leaky gut, which then can and then create the leaky skin, which is what a big thing with eczema, where that skin barrier function isn't working. So I just want to make sure repairing that gut function is really important. That's a big thing I do with my patients, is I do testing to look at, are there gut dysbiosis issues? Is there leaky gut having? And then we want to repair that with food, with diet, but also with supplements. So
yeah, you know what? Just to add to that really quick, is my son who had the issue with the eczema, his gut was completely destroyed from eating it for so long when he had an allergy. So we had to do that as well. And that took some time. And I think that's good to know too. Be patient if you're going into something or working with someone like you. It takes time to rectify damage when it comes to your gut. But once we did that, it's life changing. It's the skin cleared, but so many other things cleared.
It does take time. That's why when patients work with me now, I generally have them work as like a 3-month or a 6-month package, because we need to pull through all these different layers. Because usually people would come to see me, they have multiple health issues going on, because especially if someone's had eczema for a while, they've had leaky gut for a while, there are probably some other things going on that we want to address. So anyway, I wanted to address that first, but I love talking about the seasons, and this is a big part of what I talk about in Natural Beauty Reset. The second section of Natural Beauty Reset is all about a seasonal approach. And so with winter, what happens is we definitely have more dryness. We also have less sunlight hours. So we tend to have vitamin D deficiencies. So those things definitely impact our skin. And so looking at ways that we can protect and hydrate our skin. And I always look at what can we do internally and what can we do externally. So drinking plenty of water, but also making sure that you're getting the healthy fats in your diet. And then externally making sure that you're getting the right moisturizers in your skin, that you're not doing the stripping of the skin with those harsh cleansers, you're not over exfoliating. And I know we're tempted to do a lot of exfoliating in the winter because our skin feels dull, and I think exfoliation can be a great thing, but we don't want to overdo it, because then our skin is already pretty sensitive, tends to be more sensitive when we're in the drier, cooler months. So just making sure that we're careful with those things.
Yeah. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about how your product can help with some of these things from the topical perspective? And I love that you have a clean approach and you're a natural because that's how I feel about life. As much as we can, there's so many toxins that we can't do anything about. So, it's like when we control what we put on our skin, it's something that we can control and take good care of our skin in that way and our health in that way. So, I'd love to hear more about that.
Yeah. Well, and it's so great to hear more people talking about toxins and skincare. This is not new news, but it's not just about being toxin free, but the toxins are really important. And I've been talking about this for 25 years as a naturopathic doctor, and specializing in environmental medicine is a big part of my practice. And so, it's important to avoid things like fragrance that have phthalates, endocrine disruptors in them, and looking for maybe using things like essential oils. Some people are sensitive to essential oils, so some people have to be careful with those, but reducing some of those toxins. And so with the Spa Doctor, we use organic essential oils instead of synthetic fragrance. We use a natural preservative system. We're using things like rosemary, which is a nice natural preservative. We're using plant-based oils, plant-based ingredients that help support the skin, help with that, protecting against oxidative damage, and then also the plant-based oils that really nourish the skin, rather than ingredients like dimethicone, which trap in moisture, which then can actually create imbalances in the skin microbiome. So I wanted to make it simple for people. So when I started the company 10 years ago, I created a 4-step skincare system. That's what I launched with. And people can choose now. We've got other products since I started the company, and actually I sold the company a few years ago, but I'm still involved in the product development and helping out. So I know the products are still really clean. Happy to have that. Now we have clinical trials on the products and the things that I couldn't afford when it was just me.
Yes.
The support with that. So people can choose between the 4-step system or the 3-step system. Cleanser. And the cleanser I've talked about is oil-based, no fragrance or any of that stuff. It doesn't strip the skin, but it does remove makeup. I do suggest people double cleanse. You'll see it, like people get the product that the cleanser is bigger, because I want people to double cleanse. Use the konjac sponge or a soft washcloth and warm water. And then the antioxidant serum packed with antioxidants. It has a really nice lifting and tightening effect with natural ingredients. And then the moisturizer, all natural ingredients, but things that really help support the our collagen, to help support the tone of our skin, and that nourish the skin and have the correct pH, because a lot of moisturizers have a high pH. They're over 5 a lot of times, and ours are right around 4.6, and especially the serum and the moisturizer. And then we also have what I am the 4th step is a plant-based oil blend, which is, I just feel like it's this beautiful finishing touch.
I love oils. I feel like in the winter too, it's just it's so yummy and nourishing for the skin to have an oil, like kind of cap everything in and just, in such a beautiful way. So what are some of your favorite ingredients that you love in your line that are really great for like the anti-inflammation you talked about, or antioxidants? Like what are some of the favorites that you have?
Yeah, Kakadu plum is rich in vitamin C. The sea buckthorn fruit oil is also rich in vitamin C. Aloe vera is very, it's hydrating, and it's also very healing to the skin. We have some great plant-based oils like pomegranate seed oil, cranberry seed oil, and raspberry seed oil. Rose hips, so many great antioxidant rich ingredients. And so those are some of my favorites there. But it's interesting. It's sometimes when people ask me, what are your favorite ingredients? I'm like, it's kind of like asking which is my favorite child. Because when I designed the Spa Doctor, the skincare products, I wanted every single ingredient to have a purpose. There's not a single ingredient, it doesn't have some purpose. And even things within the preservative systems, like we choose them all very carefully.
Yeah, I love the ingredients that you mentioned, and especially the ones that are you have that nourishing effect, but you also have the antioxidants and that vitamin C, which is, again, a lot of us are interested in aging gracefully. So having those ingredients that really help with that aging process, I really love that. If you have somebody listening that is like a more sensitive skin, is that something that they can have no problems with anything in the line?
Yeah, I mean, as long as people don't have any allergies to any of the ingredients, then it's fine. I mean, I have extremely sensitive skin. That's actually why I got into becoming an naturopathic doctor. Is when I was a kid, I had all kinds of skin issues. I had eczema. I would just react to every kind of skin product. So I'm still my skin is still sensitive, not as bad because I improve the skin barrier function. But I even with body products, I'm so happy we have body products because I remember being a kid and just getting out of the bathtub and being like all itchy and miserable, and I would get hives. And so I wanted our products to be sensitive skin friendly. The only thing I would say is it's always good to test, just do a little patch test under your jawline or like inside of your wrist. I like to do it here because this is the skin on the different areas of our body is completely different, but this is just like your face, but you can hide it if you do have a reaction. With any skincare product, it's always a good idea if you have sensitive skin.
Yeah. And I love the point that you make about if you can improve your skin barrier, you can become less sensitive. I mean, a lot of times, and I've seen this in the treatment room with my clients, we're sensitive because we're doing stuff we shouldn't be doing with our skin and we're reactive because of that. And you can improve that by different things that you're doing or not doing to your skin. So this has been so amazing. Is there anything else you want to share with us or any other takeaways from your line before we ask where you can find you?
I would say we've added some great things on to since I started the company. We've added in the exfoliant, we've got body products, and we also have hair care products, which I absolutely love, especially our hair growth serum works amazingly well. Again, everything is super clean, natural. And we have shampoo, conditioner, hair mask. We also have supplements. So food is really important as medicine, but sometimes food just isn't enough, and supplements can help fill in nutrition gaps and or helping with things that like with leaky gut and things like that. So we do have supplements as well, and part of our focus is skin, and then also another important focus is hormones, because as women, our hormones change throughout the month and throughout our lives, and so it's really important to do support for that too.
Oh, I love that. And I'm always looking for a good exfoliant. So that's good to know, and a natural one because that's hard to find.
Yeah.
But thank you. And tell us where everyone can find you.
Yeah, so people can go to thespadoctor.com, so THESPADR.com. If somebody's interested in becoming a patient, drtrevorcates.com.
Awesome. I'll link those in the show notes. And thank you so much for coming on. We're going to all have beautiful skin this winter. Thanks to you.
Great.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode. Please subscribe and review so we can reach more people who want to learn to glow alongside us. See you next time.